That's good. That's good. So yeah, so the reason I started was because I guess back in 2017 is when I really started listening to podcasts, and I was really getting into them and learning a lot from them, and just I don't know about well maybe not learning it a lot, but was diving down the rabbit hole and just there's a lot more to life and what other people were saying just in their actual like 3 minute little short spits they got in the news or on Instagram or whatever. Um, so part of me was like, I want to try this. I want to try to have these conversations with my friends and see where it goes. And I've always never really thought of myself as a very good conversationalist. So I wanted to kind of challenge myself at the same time just to see if I could just do it, just see where it would take me, I guess. I hope that it kind of makes sense, I guess. But that was the main reason. And then I was kind of bored during the pandemic, and that seemed to like be the time to start something new. So that's what I did. And here we are talking with you.
Wow. So you started in the pandemic and you already have 100 episodes plus?
Yeah. So I have this theory or whatever that, nobody likes trying new things, right? Because nobody wants to be bad at them. So I was like, all right, so, it's going to suck. My first few episodes are probably going to be shit. I mean, they might still be shit. I don't know. But I felt like if I kept posting, once a week, just sticking to the grind and following a certain structure, that eventually some type of success would happen. And, I never thought it would get this far. I mean, we're going to be episode 100 and something right here. And here we are. So, yeah, it was a lot different than when I first started it and is now. But I'm still enjoying the ride and where it's taken me. So it's cool. And it still blows my mind too. And it's so weird. You might have some good insights on this that, before you and I started talking or got on here that we only exchanged like a couple emails or whatever. So it was kind of like, I'm sitting here opening up myself up to a complete stranger, and I have no idea what's going to be on the other end of this screen when we start talking or how it's going to go or anything. So yeah, this still baffles my mind.
I think it's definitely interesting. I think I caught your drift last night and this morning, and I was thinking to myself, I go, I don't really know this guy. let me look in and see. And I got a nice vibe, and I'm looking forward to listening to a few podcasts. I feel like there are definitely some important stories that I could feel that have been broadcasted with your foundation. So yeah, I'm excited to further listen. I was about to say something else.
You lose your thought? I always lose mine on here too.
I lost it, yeah.
Okay, it'll come back. But why don't you, before we get going too far, you seem to have a pretty interesting life from what little bit I know about you so far. Yeah. And, you seem to like have one of those stories where you went down the wrong road and then you bounced back, and you seem to be doing pretty well right now, right?
Yeah, I definitely went down like a really, really super, super dark path. When I turned like 18, I was raised in New Jersey, and everybody was so rude, like just so mean and like fake, and like people were always talking about people. It was like the topic of conversation. Like I just couldn't wait to get out of there and move to Florida. So when I moved to Florida, I got in with like a girl who just kind of like latched on to me. She just kind of became like my best friend. And my life just started going down the drain from there.
What do you mean she latched on to you? Like she just found you and just thought you were cool and just started hanging around everywhere you went? And
Yeah, we were like inseparable from the moment that we met.
And she was a toxic person or no?
Extremely toxic, yes.
And you didn't know that at the time?
Well, I think that maybe there was something like silent inside of me that knew, especially like the more that I got to know her and like the more that I became her friend. Like there were multiple times when I was like, you should probably like not be friends with this girl. But like we just had like such a connection, and I was so young, and I was, I guess, just looking for a direction in life. I was so happy that I had found a friend at my hometown, and we were doing all of these fun things. Everybody loved to hear our stories. So I just didn't want to let go of that, no matter how horrifying it was in the process.
So, which part of Florida, if you don't mind me asking?
So my dad has always lived in Delray. So I've been coming to Delray Beach for a while. But at that time, she lived in Orlando. And I had a good friend out there. So I went to one of his college parties, and that's how I got into the Orlando scene.
Yeah, I lived in for 6 months in Sarasota. And
oh my God, Sarasota.
Yeah, and it's completely different life and vibe down there compared to what I'm used to up here. And I'm from Virginia, and yeah, it's a completely different scene, and it's pretty wild. But I never really did the party scene. I was down there for a strength conditioning internship, but I would go out in like Ybor City and stuff. But then it was just, I didn't really live it to the fullest extent, you know. But it's completely different animal from what I saw. But so you got mixed up with this girl. Y'all are toxic, or she was toxic to you. So what happened? You started noticing signs and started seeing it, and you were like, "Nah, bro, this ain't for me."
Yeah, definitely. She would steal my money. She would like take my card and like steal my money. I'd wake up in the morning with like $400 missing, and I'd be like, "Yo, like what happened?" She'd be like, "Dude, I took your card out to the club and I paid for everybody's drinks." And I was like, "Damn, dude, you couldn't have told me. Like, you're just going to take my card and like spend my money? Like, this shit's fucked up." So then I realized that like, I don't know, it was like almost like everywhere we would go, she would make me feel less than who I was. So like, she was very manipulating in that respect. She was really like manipulating and like trying to make me feel like I was just nothing, that nothing I said was right. Even if something I said was right and she congratulated me for it, she made sure that it was hers. So like nothing was mine anymore. So it was, yeah.
So she just had that type of personality, and you didn't catch it at first, or you did? And you just kind of went along with it.
I think it was that moment, that first time that she stole from me, that I was really like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But I felt kind of bad for her. Like I wanted to be there for her. It was like, I can't leave this girl. You know, she's my friend. Like she's clearly, you know, got some issues. Let me try and be her friend. Let me, you know, see what we can do. And then I think, so we wound up moving to Wyoming randomly to work at Yellowstone National Park.
Okay.
And she got us fired 2 weeks in.
Nice.
So we had to leave.
What'd y'all get fired for?
She was smoking on like a bear trail, and it's strictly like you are not allowed to smoke marijuana on the park. So like we were just terminated. Well, she was terminated, and then obviously I left. So after that, we kind of just bust it to California. And then that's when we started getting into like really bad drugs. And after that, what had happened? Oh yeah, that's, I think, when I realized that she was really, really bad for my mental health. Just like, she was just horrible, very manipulating, very controlling, very jealous, very insecure. And she would project it onto me, and it was just really bad. So that went on for like, I think in total, I was friends with her for about 3 years. When I turned 21, it was just officially done. I hated my life. That's at the point that I accidentally joined the cult. And then I realized that I was in a cult, and I was like, well, I'm leaving this cult. I definitely ain't going back to this. So I'm gonna call my mom.
So wait. So before were you always like a drug person, or no? Or did she kind of lead you down that road?
Nope. My mom never smoked a cigarette in her life. She barely drinks. She's never done a drug. Same with my brother. And I grew up with them. Now I do have a little bit of my dad's side, and he did drugs when he was younger. Sure. But I think I got into drugs right before I moved to Florida, because that's when I kind of started veering into a different crowd. I'm a really smart girl, and I need a lot of stimulation. Sure. And I wasn't getting it. So I turned to drugs because I was like, this fucking life, it sucks. So I'm just gonna go to drugs.
It seems like that's kind of one of the reasons. I mean, I've never done anything hard
Wow.
drugs wise, anyways. As far as just drinking bourbons on the weekends and a couple cigars here and there. But other than that,
It's amazing.
I was very in a rural area though, and I never felt like I had to do drugs or anything, and that also that a lot of people in my area who were doing drugs were basically toxic people, as we were just saying, and then you could easily tell. And I was always like, "Ooh, that's going to lead you down that road." And I'm not saying anything past marijuana, but it was always just the hard stuff or harder stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
That's why I always kind of stayed away. And I was like, I don't think that would be for me. But I always never really. Part of me kind of was like, "Ooh, what do they experience when they do it?" But part of me also didn't at the same time. So I don't know. But yeah, I could see that. You get a new area. You're down there. If you're especially needing some mind stimulation, that it's very easy just to go over there and try something out and see where it takes you.
Definitely. Yeah. I did a lot of acid and a lot of shrooms.
Ooh.
Yeah. So my mind is already so active, and I already see so much. Like, I don't need drugs. I don't need to be taking drugs. So when I took the acid and when I took the shrooms, I went so far out there that like it just fucked up my whole mind, and I was having like severe panic attacks, like on the normal. And when I say like severe, I'm talking like severe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I frequently thought that I was dying. I frequently thought that it was my time to go. I frequently thought that God was taking my life. This one time I set off a fire alarm with my energy, which was really scary.
Wait. How do you mean? What do you mean you set off a fire alarm with your energy?
I was sitting home alone at my dad's.
Okay.
And all of a sudden I got this crazy feeling over me. And then all of a sudden the fire alarm, it was like before the fire alarm went off, like it blinked like a light of black around the entire room. And I was like, oh my God, what the fuck is happening? What the fuck is happening? I thought it was carbon monoxide. I'm naked, and I run out of the house naked. Okay. I jump my neighbor's fence. And the police come, the fire department comes, and I wind up talking to my dad afterwards, and he goes, honey, were you just like imagining it? Or like, did that fire alarm go off? And I said, Dad, the fire alarm went off. It went off. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't see. And he said, well, that fire alarm hasn't gone off in 10 years. And I said, well, that's that then.
What?
Yeah. It was, yeah.
And you just think it was your energy that set it off just because of what was going on at the time?
Yeah. My energy has always been really powerful. I'm like a super powerful girl. That was my mind. So if I don't know how to control that, those are the things that can happen. And that's the only time that it's happened. I think that I pushed it away for a while because I was scared of it, but I would love to learn how to control that energy that set off that fire alarm. I think that would be really cool.
You always noticed this about yourself, about having an active mind and kind of knowing this energy even when you were younger, like as a kid?
I don't think I knew it, but yes, I was always like, you guys need to be quiet. I'm smarter than you, please.
So it's like that, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's different.
Yeah, it was funny.
So
nice.
Well, all right. So let's talk about if you don't mind, the mushroom trip a little bit. I mean, okay, because I've been reading a lot more and listening to people on podcasts talk about how they microdose with mushrooms now, or even how they've kind of went and I don't know what's the word am I looking for, but almost they felt like it was like a ways are part of the way for the mind to enter another dimension, so to speak. And like, they saw different beings and had this weird trip where they kind of, when they came back to reality. No, I don't even know if it was a trip, really. I don't even know if that's the right terminology. But when they came back to reality, they was like, ooh, now I kind of feel or know more about myself than I did before. And it was like a whole new awakening experience for him. Was that kind of similar to what you were getting, or was this just a completely different trip?
No.
Okay.
No, my mind wasn't controlled or mature or stable enough to be going into those places. I definitely believe in microdosing. I definitely believe in it. It's not something that I have tried. Maybe I'll try it when I'm like 60 or something. I don't know. Because I'm not going to knock it. It's not the drug's fault that I saw what I saw and my mind was distorted how it was distorted. That was me. So I don't like to blame things on the drug. But it's funny. My very first shroom trip, it was fun. It was the funnest thing in the world. I saw pink flowers around the room and my friend and I were laughing our asses off. And then it was like when I came to Florida and I did shrooms.
Yeah.
People's faces were melting like into puddles, like there was metal music playing, like it was just not a cool thing. And my last shroom trip was with the cult. And of course, I didn't have any money to pay for the shroom trip at the time. And of course, they let me in anyways, because why wouldn't they want me in? I'm a fucking ball of energy. I am 100% God's child. So, they can't take me. They wanted me like so bad. They wanted like my soul, I guess, but like I wouldn't let them take it. And that's why they were so interested in me. They wanted me there at like all times. So that's why they didn't really make me pay for much.
Well, it's also probably because you're an attractive girl too, right?
Oh, well, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I was having sex with the leader.
That seems like how most cult stories are that I've read and seen before. I've never really had any experience with them, but that seems to, based on documentaries and everything I've seen, that's kind of just how it goes. That there's this leader and he's banging all the girls, and also has this following and he's just like, yeah, follow me and we'll go places until he rides the. Well, that seems like literally how every documentary is going, and then until they decide to do whatever they finally do at the end of it, and. But all right, some people might argue with this. I think the University of Pennsylvania did a study on what's the difference between a cult and a religion, and
the vibes.
Well, that's probably part of it too. But the main thing was basically that if you're involved with a religion, usually the leader has probably already passed away, and where a cult has not.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So, but then again, you can go down different areas with that and argue all you want to. But that was the main gist that I got from it. But so
like a great a great fact. Like if you ever find a religion and they say, "Come meet the head guy," it's like,
yeah. Okay. But so they recruited you and your friend, or just you, to get in this cult?
So the funny thing is, my friend, as crazy as that bitch was, and like she knew that it was a cult.
Okay.
And she kept telling me that it was a cult. But I was like, bitch, fuck you. You have taken my whole life from me. I've given my whole life to you willingly. If I want to be in this fucking cult, I'm going to be in this fucking cult. And I'm going to go make my own friends because you turn everybody against me and you make everybody think that I'm something that I'm not. So fuck you.
I like it. Powerful words.
Yeah. So I realized that they were a cult when I realized that I was being brainwashed. They would show me like these videos and like the videos that like they were showing me, like, I don't know, the voices in them, they weren't normal. Like, have you ever seen a scary movie where like they're brainwashing somebody or like they're Yes.
Yeah.
So that's what it felt like to me. Like it felt like they were just trying to brainwash me through specific waves and like specific energies in somebody's voice. So on top of that, it was that shroom trip, that last shroom trip that I had with them. The leader, like the main leader, he was married. He had kids and everything. And when I took the shrooms, everybody looked like the leader. Like I would just like tap on somebody's arm and be like, hey, you know, trying to reach the leader guy, you know, and they would turn around and it wasn't him. And at that point, I started thinking into it and I was like, this guy is controlling everybody's energy in the motherfucking room. This guy has everybody under his specific brainwash. And at that point, I was like, okay.
Throw up the deuces?
Yeah, I'm gone. I'm gone. It was great meeting y'all, but I'm out.
Was it a huge cult? I mean,
it was pretty big. It was like sometimes it would reach like 80 people when it was like out in like the desert.
Yeah.
But like that specific shroom trip, I think there was maybe like 30, 35 people there.
So this leader, was he the type of person that you just knew right off who was trying to brainwash people and take advantage of them? And
no.
So he kind of hid it.
Yeah, they hide it very well. That's the thing about a cult. The reason why I liked them so much is because they were so fucking kind. They were so kind. The first day that I met them, they were giving me joints. They're like, here, take a joint. Here, do you want some kombucha? We got water. We got snacks. Somebody's about to do a prayer at the top. Here, I'll give you a massage. I'm sitting here. I'm like, this is great. You know, I'm lost. You know, I'm 21 years old. My brain's all screwed. I'm desperate for something. And that's how they and that's how they bring you in. And I just feel like nobody is that nice. Nobody is that holy. And that's how you know like, there's a vibe. But the interesting thing was I had went to a metaphysical conference and I met this guy there who, this is actually why I became a mind reprogrammer. So I reprogram minds for wealth in all areas today. But when I met this guy, he was like a mind reprogrammer for, I guess he saw that like I had maybe trauma with like my mom, like maybe my mom and I had a toxic relationship. And it was true when I was younger. So he brought me to this tribe thing. He was like, hey, there's like this group of people here. They're kind of weird, but you might be into it. Like, I'll bring you over. So he brought me over and then he was like talking, like he was about to leave. And I was like, okay, thank you. You know, and in the car on the way home, he was like, hey, those people, I'm just warning you, you know, they're not they're kind of weird. I'm just letting you know, like, don't, you know, get too into them. And I was like, well, I think that they're great. So something that I analyzed today, which was brought to me a few times, is I wonder if he recruited me. Like he brought me in and he was specifically like, you know, like, oh, well, don't talk to them really. They're not, you know, like they're a cult, you know, quote unquote, you know. And so like, obviously like the person that he's telling this to like is going to push more towards them, I guess. So like, I still don't know if he recruited me or, you know, they did.
That makes sense that you probably could see that where they would though recruit you and then kind of, I don't know. I'm trying to wrap my mind around that right now. So I've never experienced, or I don't think I've ever talked to anybody who's had this type of story really. So but I mean, kind of circling back though a little bit, do you think that cult leader, you know what the Dark Triad is?
I feel like I've heard of it. Is it those people with orange ones?
Well, it's more that so certain people possess 3 different traits for their personality, and it's called I can't even say the word this morning. Psychopathy. There we go. Psychopathy, narcissism, and Machiavellianism. And it's basically where obviously that they take advantage of people. They don't really empathize with anybody, and they're always watching out for number one. And so it seems like a lot of people say CEOs probably tend to have these traits, and people who really have high society jobs, I guess, just because that's how you get to where it'd be a certain, a leader in some sense. Now, I'm not saying it's valid, but I'm just saying a lot of people have done or are doing studies just talking about it, that you have to have these positions or certain traits in order to become at a certain or the top of your game in life, I guess. So, but yeah, I was just wondering if you kind of thought that those people were kind of you saw that in, I guess.
Well, they definitely had like some leadership, but I feel like I've seen people with narcissism, and I would never follow that person. I would never want that person as my CEO. I would never take that person's advice. So I don't know exactly what the other two are. I'm gonna have to look them up, but I'll take a look into them, and maybe you can put it in the comments.
Yeah, no, psychopathy is just where you can't empathize with people, where you don't really care about their feelings or whatever.
Okay, yeah, no.
Yeah.
See, I don't think that any of those traits are things that I have some great friends, and I know some people, who are very successful for themselves, and I would not say that they have any of those traits. And I still am influenced by them in a positive way.
Okay, that makes sense. Well, all right. Well, let's get off the cult talk then anyway. So we beat that one up a little bit. But so what is, all right, you're a mind reprogrammer. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
So, all right. So tell me about this. How did this come about, and how'd you get involved in this, and exactly what is it, I guess?
So mind reprogramming is the mass override of outdated cells in your body, and outdated, like vibrations that have attached themselves to you. So we're made of like 78% water or whatever that is. And if you have two piles of water and you say something mean to this one and you put it under a microscope, it's going to have a different vibration and array than this one if you speak love into it. So they'll come out as two different things. And this is called like the snowflake experiment or something. You can look it up on Google. And then, so if we're made up of matter and we're made up of 78% water, and we have like 1 million thoughts going through our heads on a daily basis, all of these thoughts are programming into our cells, programming into our water, and our water holds it. It holds that vibration and it holds that identity. So mind reprogramming is just mass overriding all of those outdated things for who you thought that you were, and turning you into your innate version of who you were meant to be on this earth. Rich as fuck, happy as fuck, beautiful, loving, loved, compassionate, all of those things. So I built my program all around, when I came home, I was having PTSD from the cult. It was really, really bad. So my mom gave me the book, The Secret. So that's by Rhonda Byrne. Okay. And it's about the law of attraction.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. So I like fell so deep into that fucking book, that something ticked in my brain and I was never the same. So once that kind of got the ball rolling, once that momentum started going, I started thinking to myself, how am I going to put myself back together after all of this? How am I going to do this? I went to a psychologist and she's trying to give me pills to where I stay out of the sun and I can't drink. And I'm like, bitch, I'm 21 years old. Like, it's the summer. I just went through something traumatic. I want to go to the beach with my friends. Yeah. So the little friends that I had left. So I walked out of her office. I told her I was going to heal myself. Okay. And I did. So I went through my past. I went through my entire past life. I went through my friends. I went through every situation. I went through every thought. I went through every repetitive pattern. I went through my entire life. And then I went through who I was now. So I went through my friends now. At that time, 4 years ago, I went through, the current thoughts in my head. I went through my habits. I went through everything. And then I went through what I wanted in my future. And I created the habits. I created all of that. So the past, the present, the future, they all came together as one. And I started to finally understand myself for who I was. And when that happened, I was like, the game is over. The game is over. I am winning. I am born to win. I know who I am. Nobody can ever hurt me again. Nobody can ever harm me again. I'm never going to harm myself again. I can't fuck up because everything that I do is driving me to my life of wealth in all areas. There is nothing that I cannot do that won't drive me to wealth in all areas. And I believe that wholeheartedly, because I know myself. So that's how I reprogrammed my mind, and that's what reprogramming is, mind reprogramming.
Okay. I kind of figured that's what it was, but I wasn't 100% sure. And I've read a little bit, speaking of law of attraction and universal law and all that, I'm still kind of on the fence about it, but I might be leaning, I think now that having conversations with people like you and doing some reading, that there is something to it, just because that, the thoughts that you're putting out there, and not only externally, but internally, it does change the way that, obviously, how you feel and what the situations you're putting yourself in, and I guess opportunities that you might be given in life, just because obviously, if you're always thinking negatively and having these negative thoughts about yourself, and you're probably going to join up with the wrong crowd, and you're only going to attract those type of people, it seems like, right? To me. So if you surround yourself and change the way your mind's thinking about yourself and others and life and everything, that you actually put yourself in better situations, and what you put out there, that you are getting back in some form. And I used to kind of go around like, oh, that's kind of just hippy dippy bullshit or whatever, but no, there's something to it. I think the more I think about it, the more I kind of sit and just kind of reflect on it. I do feel there's something to it. I don't know what it is, but there got to be something.
Yeah, it's really interesting, because if you take a look at natural law, you take a look at, so the law of manifestation, it's not the only natural law. There are 12, and the law of compensation is what you were just talking about, and kind of like the law of cause and effect. So it's like whatever you do will have so the law of compensation says that whatever you do, you will be compensated. It's the laws of nature. You will be compensated for what you are doing. And then the law of cause and effect says that whatever you do does have an effect. It will have an effect. So when you go back and you look into your past and you take it in with natural law, you see the laws playing out in your life, which gives you faith in the natural law, which gives you then faith in your own abilities, which then makes you almost indestructible moving forward, because you know the ways of the universe, you know the natural laws, and you know yourself because you went through your past. So that's how that can tie in together by studying natural law.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
But, and I do think that you do, what you do put out there, you do get back. But I also think that you just can't sit around and just manufacture things in your brain, that you also have to have some type of discipline and actually get out there and put the work to it. I don't want to be misleading to say that I think if you sit in a room all day and think positive that you're going to get $1 million fall in your lap. You actually got to get out there and do something to it about it too.
Yeah. I can't dream all day of being on Chris Shelor's podcast and never message Chris Shelor to find me.
Yeah. So I think that's where a lot of the pushback you get, because people will say that, oh yeah, I was sitting there thinking about it all day and I don't understand why it didn't happen, and I was doing everything right, and then they go down this downward spiral and get into negativity, and this leads them into a bad situation. It's like, well, there's a little work too you got to do. You just can't sit around and which I don't know, maybe I don't want to butcher this up too bad or whatever, but you just got to do some type of work, even like, for me, like, all right, so do you know what Murph is?
No.
Okay.
Yes and no.
Yes and no. Okay, so I'm getting ready to do that this morning. This is why after this is what I'm going to do. But it's a workout. You have to run a mile, do 100 push-ups. 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 squats, and run another mile and be done, right? Okay. So I guess my point is that you just can't sit around and do nothing for 6 weeks and then say, all right, on Memorial Day, I want to go do Murph and fucking crush it. But because, it's a really, really intense workout, and you're going to get wollywopped on it. Wollywopped. Why did I say that word? That's a stupid word. But you're going to get crushed on it. And so part of it is, that was my whole point. That you can think great, be positive, put stuff out there, but you got to do some type of work. There we go. Boom. So anyway.
It's definitely, it's 100% true. And I think that what most people don't understand yet. So I read something in a book, I think I read it actually like 2.5, 3 years ago. It has stuck with me ever since. And it's, you know what? I forgot it, but I'll just keep going on because I remember the other.
That's okay.
So
I do it all the time.
But you just expect yourself to change when you've been programmed for 21 years or 20 years a specific way. You have so much strength in your specific beliefs. You have so much strength in your specific patterns and your specific ways of being and thinking that you think that if you just do a manifestation or you do a meditation, and maybe you do this for 6 months, that you're going to change. You're not. And, just to make a nice, I've always been very skinny, and I was even skinnier when I was on drugs, but because my mind wasn't strong enough, everybody made me think that I was too skinny. So when I got off the drugs, and because I quit them cold turkey, I really just didn't care. Thanks. And thank you. And I ate a lot of food. I ate so much freaking food, and I gained like 25 pounds. Okay. So for me, that's a lot. I was like 148 pounds, like 150 pounds. I wanted to be a model, and it was like 6 months or like a year later, and I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, what the fuck is this? No. So that was back in, I think I was still 21 when I had gained all that weight. So it was probably like 9 months later or something like that. And today, okay, so that was when I was 21. I'm 25 right now. It took me 4 full years to get my body actually how I want it to be. So like I had been working out every day, I had been running, and sure, that's great and everything, but like you can't just work out and expect your body to look how you want it. You have to work at it. And it took me 4 years to get here. And it's the same thing with the mind. You can't just, do a little bit of work here and a little bit of work there. You have to constantly, it depends on how bad you want it. You have to constantly be the person in control of your mind. And that's scary when you haven't done it in so long, but it doesn't have to be.
When you wake up in the morning, I mean, do you do something special, like as part of your routine to, stay positive and stay on the grind, like you're saying, and, keep moving forward rather than just, or is it easily for your mind to go, oh, why don't we just do, go back the way things were a couple of years ago? It was easier. Why do we have to get out of bed? Or do you see that, or have you beat that so much out of yourself? It's like, nah, bro, we're good, man.
I've definitely beat it so much out of myself that I'm like, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
Yeah, like would you say you hit rock bottom, and that's when you decided that, hey, we got to go back up here?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. It was like worse than rock bottom. I was like in the flames of hell.
Ooh. Yeah. See, that's why I love stories like that. Like people who, find rock bottom or the flames of hell, like you just said, and they just, finally realize it, then just get back up and said, all right, we got to start moving forward here. It's going to suck. It's not going to be easy. It's going to take a while, but I don't like where I'm at, so I got to do something to change it. And I feel like a lot of people get in these negative comfort zones, and they go down these roads, and they don't ask questions, and they just keep moving along, and they don't decide to do anything because they're like, oh well, it's too late to change it now, and what's the point? But there is a point, I mean, so if you don't like where you're at, if you don't like where the conversation's going or anything, change it. I mean, I know that I might be making that sound easier said than done, but you got to do something, bro. I mean, it's, I mean, I don't know. I guess it's just the way, I've always seen things that if you really want something in life and if you want to make a change, that you just got to go out there and do it, and don't worry about what other people are saying, and don't worry about how things are going to be. If you just stick to your goal, eventually good things happen, hopefully. So I don't know.
Well, that's a nice mindset to grow up in. And I mean, during the pandemic, I'll just tell you what I was doing. I would drink like 2 bottles of wine a day.
Nice.
And watch movies all day.
Well, it's easy.
Working Instacart. But you're the second person that I've talked to in the past 2 weeks that said, well, it was the pandemic and I couldn't think of anything better to do other than start a business or start a podcast.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's amazing. So many people were, like me. I mean, I was still productive, granted, but, I wasn't out here making big moves like starting a podcast, or starting getting into crypto or things like that.
Yeah.
So I think I love hearing what people did during COVID, because I think it gives them a great idea of their mindset.
Yeah, I mean, it's so easy to do just because, in modern times, obviously you can just sit down and crush 2 bottles of wine and go through movies and TV shows in less than, no time. You don't even realize what, how much time went by. I watched 3 episodes of Stranger Things last night, and, and like that was kind of like, oh, okay, I know I'm cool. I can sit here and relax. But also there's this part of me that, I like being active and I like doing things. And that was kind of one of the pros too. Like you're talking about starting a business or crypto or whatever for the pandemic, that, a lot of us are going through life on momentum. I felt like I was anyway. And that when everything kind of came to a complete stop, you actually got time to sit back and go, ooh, is this kind of what I had planned? Is this where I saw myself going? I mean, is this, where I want my road to keep going down? And that was a lot of it for me, because, I was, being a single guy during the pandemic wasn't a lot of fun. I mean, I got 2 little dogs back here, but but other than that, I mean, it's just, a lot of self-reflection. You could just kind of figure out, like, okay, maybe let's change a couple things. And I'm not saying I was in a bad way by anything or by any means, but it was just kind of like, I feel like I could be doing something else. And there's always room for improvement, I guess. And that's what, kind of what I wanted to do. I like doing hard things and challenging myself. And this is kind of what this whole podcast is just to see how far I can go, like I was talking about earlier, and see where it can take me. Because I have this goal that I kind of want to be Centurion, live to 100 years old. Now, I don't know if that'll happen based on
Fuck yeah, it'll happen.
My family genetics and stuff. But yeah, I hope it does. Fuck yeah. But yeah, like my point was that, sometimes you have to challenge yourself in either small ways or big ways, and just to keep yourself active and going and find out what you're made of and see what you can push through and yeah, and fucking ball out like that, I guess. Oh, sorry, that was a little bit of a rant, but yeah, that's kind of my small philosophy on life and stuff right now. I don't know.
I like it. And It's definitely a great philosophy for life. When you take that tiny little action every day, like it amounts to so much. So like if you're, extremely overweight and you really want to shed that weight, start with walking to the end of the block and walking back.
I've said that 100 times on here.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Like, don't feel ashamed of who you are. Listen, we have all been programmed in a specific way, in a way that we don't want to be programmed. Okay, That's just life. We were raised by people who were still learning, just like our children will be raised by us who are still learning. So everybody is programmed in a specific way. Like, stop feeling ashamed for not being where other people are, and start getting excited that you are moving towards that. Start getting excited that you have a goal now in life, that you have something that you are working toward. And you got to look yourself in the mirror and you got to say, I commit to this. You say your name and you say, I vow that I am doing this. And you're not telling the world this. You're not telling your mom this. You're not telling your best friend. You're telling this to yourself. And that's the person that matters. Fuck what everybody else says. So yeah, that's a great philosophy.
Yeah. No, somebody told me on here that you talk to yourself more than you any other person throughout your life. And so, and just going back on what you're talking about, reprogramming the brain and stuff. Yeah, what you're telling yourself internally plays a huge factor. I once did this. I was at a conference or something for work. I can't remember what it was. And the keynote speaker did this whole stupid thing, and I've said it on here too, folks. So sorry if I'm saying it again, but how did it go? So he called somebody up from the audience, right? And he said, all right, you know, he put his arm out like that. And he said, okay, yeah, okay, you're a pretty strong guy. You can hold your arm up. And so he goes, I want you to tell yourself I'm weak 5 times. So the guy goes, I'm weak, you know, or whatever. And the keynote speaker took his arm and just like pushed it down, and it instantly just went down immediately. And his whole message was, yeah, see, I mean, just that, and which I don't know if that was staged or not. I don't think it was, but I feel like it wouldn't have been. But I was like, even if it was, still just telling yourself that you're weak all the time, your body's going to start to realize that and start to feel that, and it's going to reflect, you know, even because sometimes during my workouts and my competitions and stuff, I start to get like that or whatever. It's a little bit of imposter syndrome. But if I just redo a 180 on that and just tell myself, you're fine, dude, you're good, you're going to crush this no matter what, it's instantly a complete vibe change. And it's just the energy changes in my head, and the workout gets different, and boom, and then I just made some magic, hopefully. So yeah, but yeah, the key is just don't talk negative about yourself. It's bad. Don't do it. Don't doubt yourself. Doubt kills. There we go.
Doubt what?
Doubt kills. I heard that somewhere, and it just stays with me.
Funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. On our podcast, I have my own podcast with a guy named Robert from California, who is also a mind coach. We had this woman on, and she was talking about kind of like loving yourself and like love yourself first. And we got into the conversation of talking to yourself kindly. And for the past like 5 months, I've been experimenting with a different perspective of it, because you know how they tell you with like declarations and affirmations, you know, to repeat like, I'm beautiful, I'm loved, I'm beautiful, I am loved, like that. And don't get me wrong, that was the very first step in me reprogramming my mind, but now I'm further along. And when you talk to yourself kindly, it's almost like, so me, I'm a really kind person. I love giving people genuine compliments. I like love loving on you, right? So when you take that into perspective of yourself, right? So it's like, oh, Chris looks great against this red background. He's got this cool hat on. He's got a sweet smile. He's got his nose is half in the light and it's half in the shade, so it looks great.
Oh, yeah. Shit.
You know, it's we've got great, you know, shadows going on, right? So people can so easily say that to, you know, the person that's standing in front of them. But take it into account of yourself, and you say, and you take yourself outside of your body. And I look at myself as if I were looking at you, and I say, wow, you did a really great job. Like, you fucking killed it. And you look really beautiful today. Holy shit. Like, your hair is amazing. Your lipstick is on point. And this is how I would talk to somebody else. So I say these things to myself, and it's a completely different feeling of love for yourself than I swear, like any other way that they might be teaching you out there.
No, just touching on that, you know, when I put on a power or suit, you know, and a tie, I have a complete, you know, energy rejuvenation or whatever. And I have this whole new confidence, and, you know, I'll say arrogance too, I guess, but, you know, I'm even walking back with my shoulders even further back. You just feel good, you know, you're like, oh, got a good suit on. Someone just complimented me on it. And like, you know, and there's just something to it, man. It just, and you just keep going with that mindset, man. It's powerful stuff. And I love it. Yeah. It kind of makes me wish that we'd go back into like I don't even know, the 40s and 50s when everybody wore like ties all the time. And you know, just you go into the grocery store, you dressed up, you know, rather than just put on a t-shirt and shorts. It was cool. It was a cool era. I don't know if I should. Do you ever feel that? Here's a good question. Do you ever feel that you know, like other eras or civilizations or something kind of speak to you and like, ooh, maybe that was like in a past life I should have been, or I was part of the Egyptian culture or something like that? Is that gonna make sense what I'm asking?
Yes.
Yeah.
My personal is the medieval. I like the medieval times.
Ooh, why's that?
I like what they wore.
Oh.
I love that they were always dressed up. I love that they had these corsets and things like that. And I just think that it was a cool time. Sure, it was quite ruthless days, but I just there's something about it that I love.
Yeah, some of it just kind of speaks to me a little bit, and just it's like I don't know if it was, like I said, something about my past life, but or is it just interesting because I don't really know a lot about it, and it's cool to talk about. Just because part of it, like the Egyptians, the Romans, the Greeks, they all had their different gods and stuff. It's like, why do they all have their own kind of the same god but a different name or whatever? And I don't know, maybe that's just part of it. It's just interesting, I guess. But yeah, I don't know if I ever could say that I have one over the other, but I don't know. Huh?
Are you saying you're interested in it? You're interested in the Egyptian times because of the different gods, or?
Well, yeah. Well, no. I'm just saying in general, just because, So just because I didn't realize the Egyptians had basically their own form of gods, like how Greece had Zeus and all them. Yeah. And so part of it was kind of like, ooh, let me check this out. Why do they have this, and why does Greece have that? And why does I think the Romans kind of took a little bit from each one and made their own stuff, and it was just interesting, So, but yeah, part of it's just like, I wonder if this is like, part of me, like in a past life, was I interested in this, or was I somehow like, what made me more interested in this compared to others? Because I used to not really like other stuff. I'm kind of like, whatever, that's fine. I don't care about that. Like anything under the ocean, like was Atlantis there? I don't know. Maybe. Who cares? Be cool though. I guess I kind of care now. Now I kind of want to know, but I don't know. But anyway, before I stop, I'm kind of rambling my thoughts here. So let's take this home on that, like on some good notes here. So if people want to find you, find the podcast, all that stuff, feel free to plug it away.
All right. So I am on Instagram at Soul Designed Future. That's also my TikTok and my YouTube as well. And yeah, my name is Kyra Carlin. I'm a self-mastery mentor, and I help you reprogram your mind for wealth in all areas. So, you get rich the right way, as opposed to getting rich and like just being grumpy or being lonely or being sad or holding too much grief, or, I want you to have it all. So those are my social medias. And I'm also hosting a manifestation webinar right now. You can access the recording for $100, and it's going to relaunch for $500 in the coming weeks. So if I were you, I would get that now. It's fucking mind blowing.
Nice. Well, thanks for being here. I mean, this was sharing your story with me. This was good to get to know you a little bit.
Yeah, I'm very happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me on, Chris.
Okay. All right, everybody. We're out of here. Be good to yourselves.